Hi, I'm Emily. I filed bankruptcy 5.5 years ago and I'm in $95,000 worth of debt.
Credit card haul as I go through all of my credit cards.
Hi, my name is Seraphine. I'm filing for bankruptcy. I just turned 29 years old and I have $65,000 in credit card debt.
So, with the updated stats of the average credit card debt per person in the US going up to $6,500, on top of the average interest rate of 22%, there's no wonder why there are so many videos uploaded every single day online talking about how much debt people are in. Whether it's from reckless spending on new trends, whatever they want or desire, or the increase in costs of everyday necessities, it's all the same to these credit card companies, and people are really drowning. We have a lot to go over today, along with comments from you guys from previous videos, so if you want to be featured on a future video, leave in the comments down below. But let's start off with a very interesting debt breakdown.
We're going to tell you how many dollars we owe at 23 years old. We owe $40,204.70 on my dues.
So $20,159.74 on my truck.
He had a career change years ago. We owe $4,013.04 from a loan that we took to transition. We owe $58.11 on my Capital One card. I just forget I have that actually. I used to have a boutique and I did inspired stuff. That went really bad. China did me really dirty. So we owe $4,771.95 from refunds I had to send. That comes out to a grand total of $32,207.54.
Okay, so right off the bat, the $58 in Capital One credit card debt, which is much smaller than anything on this list. I think it should just be paid off in full, even though I guess she just ended up forgetting about that credit card. But the boutique she had with the inspired items, I think is particularly interesting. It kind of sounds like to me she was getting AliExpress or Temu level quality crap and trying to mark up the prices very heavily at her own business. Or another thing that I've come to find out online, when people have inspired clothing or shoes, really any sort of item, that's just another way to say that they're fake, they're counterfeit. So I don't know if that was the case. Instead of buying some AliExpress stuff and trying to resell it, maybe she was trying to get away with selling counterfeit items and got almost $5,000 worth of refunds because of that. Very odd way to start off this video, but we have a screenshot here. Tell me how much debt you're in so I'll feel better about how much I'm in. With the first comment not being a great start. If you're not in debt, you're not living. $100,000 in vehicles, $220,000 on the house, and about $25,000 on credit cards. The creator responded to that saying that's not that bad. $100,000 in debt from vehicles alone, on top of the $25,000 in credit cards. I know people think about mortgage debt much differently than the vehicle loans or the credit cards, but still, how is that not bad? Debt that stresses me out, $42,000. Overall, $90,000. One that just says $400,000 even, $52,000 in student loans, a $572,000 mortgage. That's a pretty expensive house. But we could go over to another clip showing a breakdown of what this person is buying almost every day and just chipping away at their finances.
All right, who's ready to see my unhinged credit card transactions for the last month? This will kind of give you an idea of why I'm in debt. Since it is August 21st, we are going back to July 21st to look at the transactions from then. So we have Barnes & Noble, Chick-fil-A, Albertsons, which is a grocery store, McDonald's, healthcare copay, another grocery trip, Domino's. I wish I could tell you why we spent $40.99 on Domino's of all places. It's a really cheap place to get pizza. No clue. It's just me and my husband, nobody else. Moving on. Next up, we're looking at Wendy's. We got a drive-in movie theater, the tickets and the snacks. We have Pizza Hut, DoorDash, and Chipotle. Seeing a theme here? Also, holy crap, $54.40 at Pizza Hut. Actually, Pizza Hut's kind of expensive sometimes, so I totally get it. Good Lord, we're not even in August yet.
I'm cutting off this clip here. There is 4 more minutes of this video. The amount of fast food and grocery trips along with random little items chipping away every single day looks insane to me. This is a pretty extreme example compared to other people, but still, maybe a $10, $15, or $25 purchase on Amazon isn't going to break your bank. But if you start doing that very consistently and not noticing the money racking up, this kind of spending can hurt you in the long run. We have a set of screenshots here, how I got into 25 25,000 pounds worth of debt, consistently eating out when there was no budget, very similar to the last clip. Ever since moving into my own home, I buy rubbish. B&M is my downfall. I can't help myself. I'm not exactly sure what that store is, but it kind of sounds like TJ Maxx and Home Goods, Marshalls, all of that, because the next slide is a lot of those random trinkets, especially holiday themed. Working is another downfall. I never take pack lunches, always meal deals. Starbucks treats, 5+ pounds every couple of days, racks up, that's what I just said. Spontaneous trips away because we can, on whose money? And another one of my downfalls, Klarna and BNPL loans. I use them all the time and it's a never-ending cycle. That's probably how they're going on spontaneous trips as well. Once I'd maxed out one credit card, I would just get another. Oh man, it's a vicious cycle of balance transfers, loans to consolidate debt, and then spending again. And I know some people are doing exactly this just to be able to survive right now. But constantly going out to eat, spontaneous trips, constantly redecorating your house every time a holiday is coming up is just absolutely destroying people's finances. And we've seen examples since I started making videos on this channel.
What did I spend my money on to be so much in debt? A lot of people have asked me this question, so I'm going to answer it now. Predominantly, most of my money went on gambling. And it's not like the bookies gambling. I spent a lot of money in a game that I used to play. I'm not going to discuss what game it was. But yeah, I spent a lot of money playing a game. I also spent a lot of money on like the in-app bingo slots. That went on for literally years, probably 5 years, until I maxed out one of my credit cards basically. So that's when I had to use my other credit card to pay off the one I maxed out, which then started this big spiral.
I mean, this was a different way to max out her credit cards, but a very similar situation compared to the last example. This one, however, she is a picture-perfect example of what they call a whale in the gaming industry. Those in-app purchases that are, again, a few dollars, 5, 10, 15, 20 bucks maybe, just add up so quickly, and with gambling on top of it, bingo, all the money that you put in could disappear almost instantly just because you're playing those types of games. This happens with so many apps and games across the board now. It doesn't just have to be gambling. Most of them are called gacha games, but it does become a vicious cycle and very addicting, so much so that you're maxing out credit cards like this person. But keeping on the topic of addictions, we have yet another one right here.
I went into $7,000 of credit card debt because of food addiction. Let's talk about it. When I was living down in Florida, I owned my own home and I rented out 2 of the bedrooms. Because my renters were obviously paying me, I was able to use that money to cover my Wi-Fi, my electric, my water, and my lot rent. In addition to that income, I was also working as a front desk receptionist at a nursing home. Now, in hindsight, I should have taken my extra money and put it into savings, but obviously, like any other addiction, food consumed all of my thoughts and all of my money. I opened up a credit card with a $5,000 limit and made the monthly payments of $40 a month. In addition to that, I had a second credit card with a $2,000 limit, and I believe the monthly payment on that was about $35 a month. Now, don't get me wrong, I always kept up with all of my payments because I did not want to mess up my credit score. However, during that time, I was living above my means and eating out for almost every single meal.
Okay, so that did confuse me a little bit. $7,000 maxed out 2 cards that she was paying the minimum payments on both of them, which means the interest is accruing every single day, making the whole situation worse. But she thought that everything was okay. She was making on-time minimum payments, not paying it off in full, and her credit would be completely fine. But even having a job and people living in her house paying her rent couldn't offset the $7,000 worth of food. That is a crazy amount of money to spend eating out every day.
So when I was in network marketing, I had over 70K of credit card debt. Yikes. But let me tell you what got me to that point of 70K in debt. There was a point where I was making like 20 to 30K a month. And then all of a sudden that started dropping to like 5K a month. But my spending habits remained the same. And I remember talking to like one of my uplines and she was like, you gotta spend money and make money. And I took that so to heart and I spent money and enough to get me into 70K of debt. How unhinged was I?
yet another example we've seen of lifestyle creep, along with the kind of guru mindset. If you've seen a lot of these motivational money guys online, you got to spend money to make money, blah, blah, blah. Go put a down payment on a Lamborghini you can't afford, so it forces you to work harder, all of that kind of crap. On top of her salary not being consistent, thinking that you're going to make $20,000 or $30,000 a month forever, and then just a few months later, it's a fraction of what it was, but you're still spending like you're making $250,000 a year. One of the comments here, in a 4-year span, I spent almost $30,000 because if I just kept going, I would make it back. I finally had to say this is enough and walked away. Now we could get into the vacation portion of this video and how much debt people get in to be able to travel and get away from all their problems, but as soon as they come back home, their situation's even worse.
My red flag is that I will be crying, having a panic attack over money, and 2 minutes later, I will be planning a new vacation.
Same, I was looking at Alaskan cruises today. My mental health quite literally depends on having a vacation to look forward to in some capacity. I don't care how much money I have, LMAO, does not sound like a life that I'd want to live. Me drowning financially just looked up flights to NYC, and somehow I rationalized that I could make it work. I mean, there are hundreds of comments like this. But we could take a look at a clip with the consequences of thinking this way.
I'm going to start a series talking about some of the most impulsive purchases that we have made that led to $89,000 in credit card debt. My husband used to travel a lot for work. There was one time that our schedules were finally going to line up. He was able to take a week off of work and I had a break from school, and we wanted to go on a vacation. Mind you, we had no money to go on a vacation. We started looking at all kinds of different options, and the one that we ended up landing on was to go to Disneyland. Again, we did not have the money to do this, so what did we do? We applied for a new credit card because the ones that we had at the time were already maxed out. So we applied for a new credit card, got approved. I think that it was like $5,000, I really can't remember, but we got approved and we planned the whole Disney vacation on that credit card. Maxed it out. Here we are 10 years later, still paying for it.
I just recently made a dedicated video talking about Disney vacation debt that I could honestly turn into a series because of how many examples I've seen online. They still decide to go even though they don't have any money, just take out another credit card, put thousands on that. And literally 10 years later, you're still trying to pay it off. That does not seem worth it to me. People that use credit cards without a plan to pay it off ASAP is wild to me. Adults going to Disneyland is wild. Applying for a credit card for Disneyland is wild. Everything's wild in this comments section. I'm relieved I'm not the only impulsive queen out there. 10 years of paying off that debt for one single vacation. Another video up on screen right now, little travel hack that I've learned. You could spend a lot of money on credit cards, but you only need to pay back a very small minimum per month. Literally almost spent $30,000 this month already, and I only need to pay back $80 for this month. So this kind of sounds like the earlier example of the person thinking that they were making on-time payments with $7,000 in credit card debt because they were paying the minimum payments, but the interest is accruing every single day, 20 to 30% as well. And that's how $7,000 could turn into $15,000, $20,000 and a decade to pay off. At least in this example, much longer. Ah yes, only a short 27 years to pay that off. Wait, so are they wrong or not? People genuinely don't know. Others think credit cards are legitimately free money, as if somebody else would just pay for your expenses for no reason. I know it sounds ridiculous to most people, but some just don't have any financial literacy at all. It's not like they're doing it on purpose to destroy their lives. They just never learned any of this ever. Another clip up on screen from a wannabe influencer. When none of my Italy content has gone viral, so the credit card debt that I thought the creator fund would pay for is just actually debt. So now we got people banking on their content paying for their lifestyle before they're even influencers or have seen really any of that type of money come in whatsoever. And now you're just stuck with a whole bunch of credit card debt. Here we have a set of screenshots rating different ways I put myself into credit card debt. Our wedding day, about $6,000 in debt. I wish we saved up the money instead, but marrying my husband was the best day of my life. And even though, of course, $6,000 is a lot of money, we've gone over people in $60,000, $100,000 for their wedding debt. So In comparison, this isn't really that bad. Of course, the better choice would have been to not be in debt whatsoever because of this, but we can move on to the next one. This camper that I put on a Chase credit card for $2,500. We sold it last summer for $1,700. I don't even want to know how much I spent in interest on this thing. It would probably be pretty rough, but a trip to Disney in 2021. I booked it for my husband's 30th. Our options were limited because we didn't have a passport, and she rated it 1 out of 10. A closet full of clothes I never wear, -5 out of 10. Wasteful, stupid, and not worth the money spent on interest. Clothes are particularly odd to me, at least in my experience with the trends, and I always seem to wreck or get stains, rips, tears on any of my clothing pretty consistently, so there is no need for me to spend a lot of money on really anything that I wear because I know it's going to get wrecked. Now we have a comment from one of you guys from my previous credit card debt video. My sister's declared bankruptcy 4 times, my brother twice. So we have a little update from an older video we watched of somebody who got into a whole bunch of debt, declared bankruptcy, and is now back into that same type of debt.
Hi, I'm Emily. I filed bankruptcy 5.5 years ago and I'm in $95,000 worth of debt. A lot of people are going to hate on me. Oh, you filed bankruptcy and then you got yourself back into this position. Yes, it was very easy. The amount of credit card offers after we filed was insane. And we got them so that we could better our credit. And anyway, we like to eat out a lot. We are on day 8 of not eating out. I made Alfredo for dinner. It's sad that it took this long for me to finally discover that we have an eating out problem. I've always known that we have, and the amount, I mean, it's probably $200 to $400 a week at minimum of just eating out. I know that sounds ridiculous, but I can't be alone. I know there's got to be somebody out there that eats out a lot.
Okay, so I guess we have a theme for this credit card debt video. Everybody's going out to eat, spending a crazy amount of money, $400 a week. And you just had to know in the back of your mind that this was a poor choice, declaring bankruptcy previously and just racking up the debt one after another right after it happened. Some of the comments, $95,000 in debt. Is this in cars or something else or just straight credit card debt? I believe in the last clip they bought at least one car, maybe it was 2 vehicles, so it is a good amount of debt there. But if you're hitting the restaurants and spending $400 a week, that's going to rack up very quickly. If you watch Caleb Hammer, he'll always say that if you file bankruptcy without fixing the problem, you'll end up in the same spot. That's the exact reason why I don't like when people say they'll just file for bankruptcy. They hit the reset button. If you don't learn anything and you act like you just got away with it all, you're just going to get yourself into the exact same position again. Another comment from you guys, I don't even know how you could get into that kind of debt twice. Here in Germany, once you went bankrupt at least once, you'll never get another credit card, car rental, or even a non-prepaid carrier contract for at least the next 10 years. And that is a stark contrast compared to the last clip saying that she was getting credit cards in the mail almost instantly after filing for bankruptcy. These credit card companies do not care. We'll talk about them a little bit later. If they could get you back on the spending habit with their card right after you went bankrupt, that's just an easy way for them to start collecting interest payments on somebody who has a problem. But we could take a look at a couple clips with people believing that credit cards are just free money.
You use Apple Pay, honestly, just be so careful. This is a little embarrassing to admit, but if this could help one person, then I'm really willing to share what my experience was. I'm just gonna lay it out like this. When you use Apple Pay, that's real money.
The comments section is great. She thought that Apple Pay meant Apple Pays. Apple Pay isn't just apples. Almost 200,000 likes on that comment alone. A ton of reaction images as well. And even if you think that this was bait just for engagement, there are legitimately a ton of people that think that this is actually the case.
Your life is bad and you have $45,000 of debt.
Why would they give me credit cards if they don't want me to use them? They give me access to free money.
Why would they want you to use them? Put yourself in their shoes.
Because they want me to use it to spend money.
No, but why? Why would they want to?
So they make money.
There you go. They're making money, which means you're losing money.
But I'm still getting my purchases at the end of the day.
You are getting your purchases, and if that's all that matters to you, then go f up your life. That's okay. That is your choice.
It's not that up.
You can live whatever life you want to live. I will accept it. I'm willing to help those that want to be helped. Do you want to be helped? Do you want the budget? Do you want the chance for a better life?
Yeah.
There's honestly just some people you can't help. Some of the comments here, keep in mind that that girl works at a bank. Are you kidding me? Caleb just looks defeated for a second there. I know that watching these types of videos, whether it's the TikToks or YouTube videos, has helped people I've seen in the comment section, but I don't know, some people are truly just a lost cause.
Right now, credit scores are falling at the fastest pace since the Great Recession. The latest national average FICO score dropped 2 points this year, and that is the most since 2009. FICO also found that more and more borrowers are also falling behind on both their car and their personal loans, along with their credit cards. Younger Americans, unfortunately, getting hit with a double whammy. They are facing high student debt and low entry-level hiring.
Now, all of these issues are compounding on each other, and if you're one of the people facing these problems, you start looking it up online, and because of that, you're going to start getting targeted ads on sponsored posts, TikTok, really any social media site. While looking up clips for this video, I started getting hounded by this particular company. Simple Lending, I've never heard of them before, but we have a clip up on screen right now. POV, I was so deep in credit card debt that I had only $52 left in my account, and the debt was piling up. I really don't know what to do. Then I found Simple Lending and I was saved, right? Then a whole bunch of text, interest rates starting at just 5.9%. Starting, that's not going to be the case for you. Borrow up to $100,000. We'll just move right over to the comment section. Just got approved, $275, 55% APR for 467 months. Yeah, and what's the payment? 21% interest? That's worse than a credit card. It's a loan. These are basically payday loans. And the more you look this up, the more these posts are going to start showing up. POV, when you know you have terrible credit and you try to use Simple Lending to apply for an $800,000+ loan? No credit check, low interest rates, yeah, sure. Funds in 24 to 48 hours. They did a credit check and didn't approve me. Didn't approve me. Right, I got a $6 billion loan. Don't do it. So this is how they start roping people in who don't know that this is a payday loan, basically. And yeah, maybe you will get approved for a few $1,000s and you could pay off that credit card debt. But even that high interest sitting at 20 or 30% is a lot better than the previous comment at 55% APR. And that's how your situation gets a whole lot worse. These payday loan places, credit card companies do not care about you. We have a comment from one of you guys. I was canceling a credit card. The guy on the phone wouldn't let up trying to get me to keep it. I told him I was going on a 20-month Christian mission to Borneo would be off grid. He had no comeback. Card canceled. That was from a previous example that we've seen of somebody saying the wildest story they could think of to one of these credit card companies when they were trying to cancel, because they'll just keep saying over and over, trying to sell you deal after deal just to keep the card. But if you start sounding insane to them on the phone, they'll end up canceling it and you won't have to deal with it anymore. But in this next clip, you can really see how these credit card companies think about you.
You might be a credit card deadbeat and not even realize, but that's actually a good thing. A credit card deadbeat is someone who pays off their credit card balances in full each month, avoiding any interest charges or fees. If you're thinking that sounds like the opposite of a deadbeat, you'd be right, but not if you ask the credit card companies. This healthy financial habit is way less profitable for issuers that earn billions on late fees and missed payments.
So if you're not consistently bleeding money on interest payments, these companies are going to call you a deadbeat. They're not here to help you like it seemed with these Simple Lending ads. All they want is to be able to take as much money from you as humanly possible. But we could go over to another set of screenshots. Everyone's telling me that I make bad financial choices. Bachelor's by 21, $35,000 worth of debt. Masters adding on yet another $25,000. Furnished my apartment $10,000 in credit card debt. A dream car at 22, another $20,000 worth of debt, a Kia. In total sitting at $90,000. Dream car and Kia can't be in the same sentence. It's okay, bestie, I'm $400,000 in debt at 19. Zero in assets and nothing to show for it. Now work 60 years and make those payments and never invest. More debt, instant gratification. But mom, I want it now. I know that this is supposed to be a funny comment, but this is legitimately how some people think now. But staying on the topic of buying your dream car, especially when you're young, this kind of stuff could really hurt your possible choices in the future.
So I'm talking to this guy who has a $1,200 car payment, who wants to buy a house. And I think his parents really did a disservice to him. They really messed him up. He explains to me that he's thinking about buying a house and can I go over the numbers with him? And I'm like, yeah. And we start discussing his situation. And we talk about his credit, and he explains he has pretty good credit, but he does have this really large car payment I was like, how much is the payment? He's like, it's $1,200. I'm like, okay. Next, we go on to his income, and now he's telling me his income is about $50,000 a year. So I'm thinking to myself, this is a massive payment for his income. And I was like, did you have any problems getting that car loan? Did you just go in there and they gave it to you, no problem? He goes, no, I had a lot of issues getting the car loan. In fact, in order to actually get the loan, I had to get my parents to co-sign for me, and then I got it no problem. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, would I co-sign for my kid to get a $1,200 car loan that made $50,000 a year? I don't think I would.
But I can almost guarantee it's the same situation as the last example. It was my dream car. Oh, I absolutely need it. And within just a few years, a new model or a facelift version will come out, and maybe it's more horsepower, looks nicer, and then that becomes the dream car. The one that you're currently paying $1,200 a month for, you don't want anymore. Another interesting part in the video was talked about in the comments section. How do you buy a house these days making $50,000 a year? That's definitely becoming more and more difficult now. He's driving his mortgage payment. After taxes, he's making $39,000, $14,400 for car payments, not including insurance as well. He'd have about $2,000 left a month. Can't buy anything. He'd still have other bills to pay, of course, food, groceries, the utility bills that would go on top of the mortgage. There's no way they'd be able to afford it.
Take this as your sign, especially if you are like young as don't get that credit card. So I'm currently dealing with a lawsuit, partake on myself, but I recently got into the National Debt Relief Program, and I've been doing that, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. But this is your sign. Don't get that credit card, bro. Don't get it. You don't need it. Just make your money and use your day-to-day money. You don't need that credit card. I do not need this credit card. Yes, it did pay for a little bit of my school and then my like school kit thing that I had to buy, but other than that, it's just been collecting interest. I haven't been able to pay because I've been unemployed, and now that I am employed, I decided to get on this national debt relief thing. But yeah, don't get that credit card, bro. You don't need it.
And it also sounded like she was getting sued by the credit card company. That has become more common recently as well. Of course, if you've racked up tens of thousands of dollars worth of debt, these credit card companies are going to want their money back. But we've seen examples of them suing people for as little as like $400 or $800. It almost seems petty to me for how much money they actually make as a corporation, but that doesn't take away the fact that you're currently getting sued because of your debt, and you're going to have to go through all of that mess. This happened to me when I was 18 and COVID began. My credit tanked for years afterwards. But we'll finish off this video with a little bit of de-influencing.
Okay, these are things that I normalized during debt, and like when I was accumulating debt and racking up my debt, that now that I'm not in that like headspace anymore, these are things that like I realize now are not normal and you should not do. And this one deserves its whole own video because I feel like a lot of people can relate to this, but it is like every month when I was in debt, or I'm still in debt, but like every month when I wasn't serious about paying it off, I would pretend I was serious and like get out a spreadsheet or like make a little write down all my debts and like the monthly payments and like how much money each month and like when they were due, and like I was like, okay, I'm gonna do all this and this is my plan, and then I would not stick to that plan. The plan would go out the window. And then in a month, I'd be like, oh my God, what happened last month? Like, oh, you didn't do anything. You didn't stick to this plan that you wrote out. And then the cycle would continue. I would make a new plan. The debt snowball and like all the shit. Like, I would not stick to the plan whatsoever. The plan was purely for me to feel better about it at the moment and not actually do anything.
So I think this happens sometimes while posting videos on TikTok talking about your debt. Maybe somebody has $10,000 worth of debt, and then you go to the comment section and there's a whole bunch of people saying, that's nothing. I got $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 worth of debt. And then you start thinking to yourself that, yeah, you know what? $10,000 worth of debt isn't that bad. You start losing the motivation, and then it gets a little bit worse each month. So sticking to this type of plan of budgeting and having discipline is extremely important trying to pay off your debt. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like, and I'll talk to you guys later.